There are times you're not going to know what to do. You have no time to run to the closet. You have to hear His voice. This is the way. Walk in it. Instant. That is a glorious result of the baptism of anguish. The servant who willingly takes on the mantle of God's pain is the only servant who has the authority and the right to hold God to His covenant promises. We've preached covenant here. But only those who've known His heart and in those times have allowed God to bring healing, has allowed God to go down deep in the soul and say, oh God, I can't do this on my own, but I'm not going to let my kids go to hell. I'm not going to let my husband, my wife. Oh God, I'm not going to live in this death. I'm not going to live in this lukewarmness and this coldness anymore. God, change me. And when you get desperate before God, you set your heart to seek Him. Then you can hold God to His covenant promises. Look at first chapter verses 8 and 9. Remember, I beseech thee, the word that thou commandest thy servant Moses, saying, if ye transgress, I will scatter you abroad among the nations. Now he holds God this covenant now. But if you turn unto me and keep my commandments and do them, though there were most of you cast out from the uttermost part of the heaven, yet will I gather them from thence and bring them into this place that I've chosen to set my name there. He calls on the covenant made to Moses. He said, here's what you promised, God. And folks, when you allow God to lead you into this place beyond concern, beyond just fleeting emotion, you say, God, I'm going to set my heart. Then you have every right to hold God to every one of His covenant promises. You see, and I'm going to close in just a minute. We have a nation, a church today full of diagnostic experts. Boy, just about anybody can tell you what's wrong with the church now. And now they're coming out with statistics and polls. They can tell you how many heathen there are in China. They can give you polls and charts. But not the slightest idea. They have all these how-to books now, and you won't hear one word about anguish, tears, and brokenness. You won't hear that. In my closing thoughts, I want to ask you, why did Nehemiah, of all God-fearing men that were left in Israel, why did God share His anguished heart with Nehemiah? Because he was a man of prayer. He was already in prayer. Now I want to tell you something. I believe in destiny. I believe that God chooses men. But God can choose a man and He can abort it just like that. Nehemiah could have said, look, I have more influence right here. I have the ear of the king. I need to stay right here. And God, I'm sure I'll agree with you that God will raise up somebody. No, he said, oh God, this is my burden. Open your heart to me. I know now it's going to take more than preaching, more than a new revelation. There's going to be no renewal, no revival, no awakening until we're willing to let Him once again break us. I don't know why. I don't know if it's something that's coming. The other pastors have shared with you what they feel about some very, very troubling, difficult times just ahead. And